Hi, good day. My name is Ivan Cano and I'm the content manager for Realestate.com.kh, Cambodia's #1 real estate portal. As the country's largest source for property listings, we're currently conducting an education series to better inform buyers and sellers about the going-ons in the Cambodian real estate market. Now, as part of this series, and specifically for this video, we will be covering property management in Cambodia. Now, while property management in itself is not exactly a new discipline, Cambodia is a new market where property management is slowly taking shape. And to help us better shed light on how property management is forming in Cambodia, we ask none other than Mr. Veasna Meas himself, the founder and CEO of Naki Group, Cambodia's premier property development and management firm. Thank you, Mr. Veasna, for hosting us in your wonderful office. And I've personally done some reading about you as part of this interview, but I believe it would be best for our audience to know about you, hearing from you.
Okay. Well, my name is Veasna Meas, and I came to Cambodia about 10 years ago. I grew up in Seattle, Washington, in the States, and I was doing real estate back then, and then I saw the opportunity here, which is why I set out to come back to my home country and then see what we can do, which is why now today we're in property development and also property management.
Now, Mr. Veasna, you have extensive knowledge in property management, especially you having an international and of course local background. So can you give us an overview of property management in Cambodia? Specifically, what is commonplace?
Okay. Property management is that just managing the property. It will start as basic as maintaining the building, the common areas. So let's say we talk about a condo, someone has to take care of the lobby, someone has to take care of the service lift, the passenger lifts, the corridors, or anything that is used in common by all the tenants or co-owners living in the building. And property management really has been around everywhere. It's quite simple, where once you build a building, you need to operate the building also.
Yeah.
So in Cambodia, it has been developing. If you even look back maybe 7-8 years ago, there weren't as many skyscrapers as we see today.
Yeah.
And many of them are just coming online recently. So now property management is a service that a lot of developers are looking for, which is the opportunity that I saw when we actually completed our first project in 2014.
So you can say there's really a real demand, and that's been growing over time.
Correct. Because you see it takes 2 to 3 years depending on the size of the buildings. So now we start to see more come online. And some developers had first thought, any developer just want to build it and exit out as fast as they can to get their investment back. But once the building's up, you need someone to help take care of it. How to hand over the units to their customers, how to place the tenants, how to make sure that the building stays brand new, make sure everything's working and functioning properly.
And that's where property management firms come.
Correct.
So, Mr. Veasna, what is common practice when considering property management in Cambodia compared to more developed markets like Singapore or the United States?
Well, in principle, the property management is quite similar in what's offered to the developers and the co-owners and the tenants. And you can actually break it down to 2 parts. One is within the facilities management. So you have to take care of the exterior of the building, the windows, the landscaping, make sure the driveways, sidewalks are clean. Also, when you walk into the lobby, someone has to maintain that public area too for the cleanliness. And you got to make sure that all your lifts are working, your hallways are clean, your gyms, your any other amenities, your swimming pool is properly maintained. When you buy a condo, it's actually owned by many different owners.
Yeah.
So they do have to have someone to manage it, which is in the States, they will have a HOA or a condo association that would take care of this. And over there, the standard is where once the building is sold to a certain percent, the co-owners will actually vote someone to be the head of the association. And then in turn, they would actually pick the property management company. So all the fees that are being paid are going towards the service.
The services.
And then beyond that, besides just the property, the facility management itself, the physical management of the building, is also for the individual units. Once an investor buy a property, some, of course, will live in it. They will just pay for the service because, when they walk in, they're using the lobby and the lift, and we need to pay for that electricity.
Yeah.
But some owners just buying as an investment, so they would need a property management company to help them find the tenants, place them in there, screen them, make sure it's a good tenant. Any requests coming from the tenant, this is where the property management company come in also.
I see. So is it any different? You mentioned that that's an example from more developed markets. How is it like in Cambodia now? What's the landscape? Is it offering the same services, or how is it?
It is the same service being offered, because a building is a building, a condo is a condo.
Yes.
So in principle, everything's the same. It's just a matter of accepting the need for this service, because it is a fee, and really it's a fee paid by the co-owners or by the developer. Some developer, once they open, they still have some units left or some unsold units. So it is an extra cost to the developer, and it's something here that I would say it's new. A lot of new buildings has come, but I wouldn't say it's new for some of the more international developers, because it's already been established. Like one of our projects, we JV'd with a company from Hong Kong, listed company, so definitely they know what property management is.
Yes.
Versus, let's say you have a local developer that, hey, maybe I'm going to try doing my own building, but haven't put much thought to yet, like, hey, after I build it, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
So I would say it's somewhat of a new concept, and it's just a matter of accepting the need for the service. But I wouldn't say property management is new or it's different from other parts of the world.
So, Mr. Visa, to the next question. What are the regulations in Cambodia when it comes to property management? Do all strata title properties need to have a property management plan in place? And are there any licenses property management firms need to have before operating?
Yeah. Property management company do require to have a license, and it would start being issued by the Ministry of Economy and Finance about maybe, I would say, 4 to 5 years ago. So in retrospect, it's quite a new concept, which is the license just been issued, and we were one of the first few to obtain this property management license. In terms of regulations for any building that are strata titled, you are required to have a form of property management, but like I said, it is still a brand new concept, so it's still being navigated by the developers on how to implement and whatnot. So, and some of the other requirements, like once you hit about 70%, 80% sold or it's owner occupied, then it does kind of follow the same standard as other countries, where everyone will vote for one person or for a board that will assign a management company. But so far, to my knowledge, not many developer has practiced this, and they're still in a way manage it themselves, or they do find a management company to take on that role for them once they start the handover process.
Now, when it comes to the bottom line, what are the benefits of property management for buyers, specifically those looking to consider property management in their buying decision? And by extension, how does property management benefit tenants?
Okay, for buyers, it's let's say for the Cambodian market, there is a good majority of buyers who buy from overseas, so they would not be physically here to manage the property. So this is where we would come in to give them that service, where we can help them maintain it. We can help them place tenants in it so that they can see a rental return to get their return on investment back. And plus, they would be comfortable knowing that someone's there that can count on to make sure that the electrical is working, the plumbing is working, or any other issue that may come up. There's someone that's here that's physically ready to go and take care of that property for them. So an investor, of course, will have multiple properties. So by having a property management company, it does take that headache away from them, so that they can focus to acquire more properties or enjoy the cash that they're making on their hobbies. And on top of that, if they have tenants, that's something you also have to maintain. And I don't think any buyers would want a tenant calling them at 2 a.m. saying, hey, the roof is leaking.
Yeah, exactly.
So to have a company between, it takes that problem away for the buyers. And then for the tenants, and it's just that. We're available for the tenants 24 hours a day for any issue they should have. So if tenants need help or they need to any issues to be resolved regarding to the units, we can help to provide that service and respond quickly to the tenants.
Okay, so when it comes to property management fees and costs, what is the common property management fee in Cambodia? And how are they usually calculated?
Okay. The fee is calculated based on your percentage of ownership. So what you own is not just the private area that you're living in within that box, but that square meter, that amount of space that you're taking up, is also used to calculate the percent you own in the common areas. So with a strata tile, you do have the rights to the land, you do have rights to the lobby, to the public spaces. So every owner, depending on their room size, would have a certain percentage of ownership towards that.
I see.
So based on that, we would come out with a gross area that you own. So it's the combination of your net private area plus the percentage of space that you own for the public space. So that number is then multiplied by the fee, which right now in the market could be anywhere from $1 to $2 per square meter. And what that fee entails is to cover the maintenance of the property. So, every time you use the lift, there's an electrical cost. You will need security at the building. You would also need a receptionist. So all that fee would be covered. And on top of that, there's also a sinking fund that we collect, and that is to cover the one-off. Sometime the elevator will break down, or sometime a window will crack, or sometime the floors need to be replaced. So this is not something that happens every day. So the sinking fund is collected from all the owners to cover this type of cost.
Okay, so a sinking fund is what, essentially an emergency fund of sorts?
You can call it an emergency fund. It's really just to cover unforeseen expenses that may come up, because you don't expect to replace an elevator part every month.
Yes.
If you do, something's definitely wrong with that elevator. So it's just for unforeseen costs that will go into upkeeping the building.
So you touched on services that are covered by management fees.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What about other parts of property management, like tenant screening, leasing,
Right.
rent collection?
And with this, it goes into a service that is, you can say it's optional for buyers. Sometimes if the person buy the unit and own it themselves, so it's co-owner occupied, they would only pay the management fee, which will cover the upkeep of the maintenance of the common area. But if someone buys an investment, they're not living in there, they want to have tenants. So that's when we come in and say, hey, we can help you place a tenant, but we'll charge you 10% of the rent. So with that fee, we would put the tenant in, we would prepare the lease agreement, then we would help to collect the rental payment and send it off to the owner. So that's, for us, we charge 10% of the rental price. And now, of course, other things may happen. Just in case things come up, there's an issue with the tenant, there have to be some eviction or they can't pay the bill. There's also, the owners will also ask us to help to resolve it. And in that case, we would charge anywhere from $50 to $100 to prepare the eviction notice and go through that legal process.
I see. So essentially, dispute resolution is also part of the property management service. Now, just to sort of cap it all off, or just give a quick summary, what should investors be looking for when considering property management in their buying decision?
I think they should look for a company that is experienced and actually understand what their needs are. For us, even for me, I am a developer myself, so I can understand what is it that, as a developer, what are we looking for. So we just want to make sure that our building is safe, our unit is safe, it's properly maintained, that people actually take care of the upkeep of the overall development.
Yeah.
Because it will affect our value. It will affect, if it's deteriorating, you got things breaking down constantly and just things not working, the value of your unit will continue to drop.
Yeah.
So you need someone that understands that to make sure that, hey, there is value in making sure that they clean the bathroom every hour. Hey, there's value in having security 24 hours. Hey, there's value in having a receptionist 24 hours or a maintenance team that's on standby. And all these things added together is actually a big value for the owners. So make sure that their property is maintained, it's safe, it's good for their tenant, which in return make sure that what they spent, they can see their property increase.
Yeah.
So that's what I think that any investor should look for, a management company that understands this concept, that is a partner to help take care of their investment.